I want us to go back in time to be one of the subjects in David's court when I witnessed this wonderful demonstration of grace. But to really understand how someone can be transformed by grace, you got to understand David. He's king now. He's the second king of Israel. And he's in the middle of his reign, and he reigned in Israel for 40 years. And he's gotten to the place where he's on top of the world, if I can use that language. He's defeated all of the superpowers of his day. The Edomites and the Moabites, wiped them out. The Ammonites and the Philistines, wiped out by David. The Amalekites, that dreaded foe, he wiped them out. And the nation of Zobah, he stomped on them. As a result, he had this international fame as a conqueror. In addition to that, he had God's favor on his life. You know what I mean by that? Everything he did, it was like the fairy tale. He had the Midas touch. In fact, it was in 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 14, the language of the text says, the Lord gave David victory wherever he went. It was as if he couldn't do any wrong. In addition to that, you think that was it? Wasn't it? David had unprecedented favor with the people in Israel. Verse 15 of 2 Samuel 8 says, David reigned over all Israel, doing what was just and right for all his people. This guy, not only did he have fame and power and might and stature that represented and as a man of God and a man after God's heart, and that people looked upon him beyond the rock star, beyond the super athlete. This guy had all the money in the world that one could ever long for. And if you're sitting large like that, the only way you could ever even think of the idea to show God's kindness to someone is because God's done such a deep work in your heart that in doing well, you do good. One day David said, he had to publicly communicate it. Is there anyone left of Saul's household that I can show God's kindness? Not simply Jonathan, which was a friend of his, the son of Saul. Saul was the first king of Israel. But he said, is there anyone here of Saul's household? And you got to understand why this request is so utterly unusual. First, they used this word kindness, and he attached it to God, saying God's kindness. Kindness in this verse, in the Hebrew, the original language of the Old Testament, it was written in two languages, Hebrew and Chaldee. Some of the more obscure books was in the language Chaldee, C-H-A-L-D-E-E. But Hebrew was the primary language for most of the books in the Old Testament. And here David used the word kindness, which meant it's the kind of expression of love that one would show to a relative or a good friend. In other words, we have such a long-standing relationship. When I do this good thing for you, nobody's going to think it odd or an anomaly because you're my relative or you're my good friend. And so I have a long-standing relationship with you. Though I can show this kind of kindness to anybody, David says, I want to show this God's kindness to someone of Saul's household. That's weird. I want to show the kind of stuff that I would show to my kids, or my mom or dad, or my wife, or my sibling. Is there someone here of Saul's household that I can show God's kindness to, or God's grace? They don't deserve it, and they can't repay me. And I want to do it because my heart's big for God. That's the kind of thing God wants to work in our hearts.